Right at it. Right at it. Oh, he's done it again. Just as he did at the John Deere for his first win.
Welcome back to another episode of the Go Get That podcast, episode 78. We are previewing the Valspar Championship, which is a tournament that Jordan Spieth will be playing for the first time in a while. Champion here in 2015, I believe. Is that correct? Correct. And overall, I think we have some pretty good vibes going in general. I'll give my thoughts off the bat. I think this is a good chance to win this week. Besides a mush from Mr. Sobel, which we will not mention, of course, unless he loses. If he loses, then we'll mention it. But does anyone else have any thoughts?
Yeah, I do. The field sucks. Be plain and simple there. I think I said in the players recap when we were kind of looking forward to this week, it's probably, besides the Byron Nelson, the worst field Jordan will play in this year. And
Pebble. Maybe Pebble.
Yeah, maybe. All right, we'll throw in Pebble. We'll throw in Pebble just to be nice. But yeah, you look back to 2022, and what are the two tournaments he was closest in? Pebble and the Byron Nelson. Two horrible fields. No offense to those tournaments, but another field this week that's maybe a little bit better with JT, Fitzpatrick, Sam Burns, Fleetwood, a couple other names, but definitely a place where Jordan should, at the bare minimum, be in the picture on Sunday. He's won here. The course history is good. He's playing well. Like, there's really no reason to not have as Bob said, a good chance to, win on Sunday.
Yeah, it's good to be back here. I think this is a fun course. I don't really remember a ton about it, except for the fact that it's usually pretty scoreable in a sense, but also can be quite difficult at times depending on the wind and whatnot. So this week it looks like it'll be quite difficult the first 2 days. Thursday looks like a pretty good day to score. Friday's gonna blow pretty solid. But then thunderstorms on Saturday are gonna soften it up quite a bit. So might play a little bit easier over the weekend, which not ideal, but not a whole lot the tour can do about that. It is now in March for the second year, I believe. It used to be in May quite consistently. So when, looking at guys who have played here before, course history in May, I don't think it's a big difference, right? I think guys who play well here in May are going to also play well here in March, but there's probably a little bit of difference there. So first time Spieth will see it in March. And yeah, like you guys touched on, the main points. The field is bad. I'm not sure what they did with the tee times, where they put pretty much all of the American stars in the morning wave on Thursday. Like the fact that JT, Spieth, and Sam Burns are basically like two groups apart in the morning on Thursdays. Interesting. There is a good group in the afternoon. Fitz, Patrick, Fleetwood, and Justin Rose.
Definitely an interesting approach there, but
yeah, solid group. But then you've got like Nico Echeverria, Trey Mullinax, and God, I don't even know who's the third in that group. But it's not the greatest feature group. Seems like they could have spread them out a little bit more, but regardless, should be a fun week. I'd expect the score to be around 12 under. I think the weekend will play easier. But like you guys mentioned, this is a good chance. I mean, these are the tournaments that Spieth has kind of picked off these past couple of years. Obviously, Valero was about this field strength. Maybe a little bit weaker because DJ withdrew that week. RBC was a little bit better, but this has kind of been the area where Spieth has given himself chances to win. And I'd expect a good showing here this week as well.
I'd agree. I think regarding the groups, I know you mentioned like JT and Spieth are both in the morning. My guess is they probably did that because I'd assume TV numbers are better on Friday than they are on Thursday. So I figure if you load up the Friday TV window,
That's fair.
you probably I'd assume that NBC Golf Channel probably it gets more viewers on Friday than Thursday.
Yeah,
So
and
that would make sense.
March Madness also commences on Thursday as well.
So they're probably thinking like no one's gonna watch on
So they're
Thursday.
thinking, yeah, nobody's gonna be watching Thursday afternoon. Probably it's a tough week to have a tour event because March Madness. We might get into our picks later for March Madness, but
We will.
it's a tough weekend to have a golf tournament given the excitement that March Madness can provide.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And it's just kind of a tough spot for the Valspar in general, right? You're coming off 3 Florida events. The players, obviously, there's a match play next week. And then guys are going to Hilton Head as well. So it kind of in a tough spot. We'll see where it goes in the future, but
Yeah.
it's sort of understandable why the field is not that great. And I guess as Jordan kind of pointed out, it makes a little bit of sense why they have the times the way they do.
I think it'll get a elevation at some point, probably.
It's worthy.
I think part of the reason it didn't get this elevation early on, I think it's partly the course. I don't think the course is all that exciting. That might be an opinion that's not too popular here, but I've never been a huge fan of Copperhead or the it's Copperhead course at Innisbrook, right?
Yes.
Yes. So I've never been a huge fan of that. There were a few exciting holes. The one with the trees down the left and with the fairway sloping to the left, I actually think that's a pretty cool hole where you almost have to drive it in the rough and hope it gets lucky. It's just a little bit different. But again, it's kind of a stupid gimmicky hole. There's just a lot of straightforward par fours here. But it is what it is. Cool to see Jordan back here. I was like seeing Jordan play different events because again, I don't the only way I know this course in recent memories from playing it on 2K because like he hasn't played here in a while. So I don't remember all the holes, that's for sure. I'm gonna have to do some digging into that, but it'll be a fun week. Again, you said we are gonna have to battle with March Madness. I know for once, like if Jordan's not in contention on the weekend, it's gonna be very hard for me to pay any attention. Like that's just how it is. Friday he's in the afternoon. I'll probably be watching both. I don't see why I won't be able to have both March Madness and Spieth on the screen, but I definitely see why. I mean, if Spieth is down the stretch and on Sunday and there's like this huge basketball game, like, you know, we know what's going to get the views. So, which isn't a bad thing. March Madness is only a few weeks a year, but it's got a weird spot in the schedule. I wouldn't disagree with that.
Yeah, certainly does. It makes you think a little bit too. Like the Masters is the week after the tournament concludes, I think. So it's like I mean, obviously you wouldn't put the Masters and March Madness on the same weekend, but just it works out really nicely that way. And Spieth will be featured both days, as we've talked about the quality of the groups. My guess is he's going to be the marquee group because the Thomas group is Joel Damon and Joel Damon and somebody else. I can't remember. JT Poston maybe.
Ooh, 2 JTs.
So it's not, not a bad group for this field, but Spieth, Gary Woodland, and Sam Burns is, I think, by far the biggest draw there. I mean, you could put Spieth with anybody really, and he'd be the biggest draw. So that'll be fun on ESPN Plus. Trying to think of other, little course tidbits that I've got in my brain, but they're not coming to me at the moment. I do think, like, to Bob's point, I think this course is exciting. I say that with air quotes around it because people have access to play it. And I think a lot of people do go to Innisbrook and they get to play this course that the Tour Pros play.
Yeah.
Cool. I think it's a little but to kind of add on to your point, I think it's a little bit like a Torrey Pines of Florida. Like it's very Florida-y and it's got a lot of trees.
It's so Florida-y. That's very true.
And it's like pretty classic Florida. So it's still a good test. I think it still gets a good leaderboard. You get some sticky course history here. A lot of repeat winners here. Obviously, Sam Burns is trying to defend for the third time in a row. Trying to think of Paul Casey won back-to-back here as well. So a lot of guys win here multiple times, play well here a lot. So it should be a good week, should be a test with the rough up to almost 4 inches, I believe, which is for a place like this could get dicey for some guys. And then plus the, I think they moved the rough closer to the greens as well. The runoffs are a little bit, there's not as many runoffs. So short game will be of importance as well this week. I don't know what Mr. Models have to say about that, but I'm sure we'll get into that at some point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you mentioned the course. I won't lie, I haven't watched I think I watched Sunday last year because I think it was a pretty good. I think it was a playoff finish if I recall.
Yeah, it was Davis, Riley, and Sam Burns. JT was T3 and like had the lead at some point. I think maybe. So it was 3 of the better players in the field were up there.
Gotcha. Yeah, so Jordan hasn't played here in 5 years, so obviously I think for the 3 of us, some catching up to do. I love it though. Bob kind of mentioned it. It's fun to track different venues. It gets kind of boring and repetitive.
Would agree.
Doing the same. There's a few courses on tour that are just so meh and doing them every single year. So it's nice, when you're Jordan Spieth and you're pretty darn good at golf. And I think Rory's in like the same boat where like he skips places where he's won at sometimes. It's nice that Jordan can come back here, especially because he mentioned it. We're recording this on Tuesday in his presser today. He wanted to play in 2021. He got COVID, and then last year he had his brother's wedding. So he's kind of been wanting to come back here. And Dan kind of mentioned it's an interesting year to, finally make your return here with some of the changes they've made. The rough going from 3 inches to 3 3/4 is a pretty big change. That's unusual. And this place is already big. It's 7,300 yards. It's a big place. And then, moving the rough in, they describe from 72 inches or 72 feet to 21 feet. So like you got to have your irons and wedges, on this week, which is something Jordan's been doing a good job of lately. Because if you're missing the rough around the greens, it's going to get pretty dicey pretty quickly because there's going to be some brutal lies that you're going to find yourself in.
Well, Dan was talking about the models, and I'm looking at this, and this course has a course comparison that is more like intertwined than any other course comparison on tour. Does anyone have a guess at what course that is?
Is it in Florida?
It is not.
Interesting. I want to say Scottsdale for some reason, but I don't know why.
It's not. I might have. Jordan, do you have a guess?
Somewhere.
I'm gonna go Murfield Village.
Interesting. The answer will make you very happy, as it is Colonial.
Interesting.
That makes a lot of sense.
Bigger Colonial. Interesting.
Yes. So
I see that.
Yes,
that makes a lot of sense.
That makes me very happy about this week. Jordan's course history at Colonial speaks for itself. I'm reading about this. Some other ones that fit the eye are River Highlands, Harbor Town. Both of those Jordan Spieth's played well at. The other one's Sawgrass, but of course we know his history there.
Well, he's won at River Highlands and Hilton Head.
Yeah.
So he's won
here. So
he's won at the top 3 places for this course, and he's won here too, right? So clearly, this is kind of a Spieth course.
Yeah. So unfortunately, the bad part of the models is that the top 2 stats for the week are exactly my negatives from last week: shots gained off the tee and par 5 scoring. So
that's fun.
They go hand in hand.
Definitely not great there, but again, we'll have to see. The third biggest stat is approach, which he's been fine at. So we'll see. The biggest yardage that is being looked at from this week is 175 yards and over.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is a problem. Speed spinning is all of his clubs very well. Overall, I think all this tells a pretty good story for this week for Spieth. I think that it'll be very interesting to see an event like this. It's been a few weeks of very top-heavy events. So it's nice to kind of get back to these. I mean, these elevated events are clearly working, as I said, and they're fun to watch, man. I mean, besides Scotty Scheffler running away with the tournament, it's fun to see all these big names at the top. But it also leaves these spots in weeks like this for someone else to maybe take down a Jordan Spieth or a Sam Burns down the stretch, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's fair. I think Jordan is kind of, approached this week as a, non-designated week. He said he took yesterday off. And for some reason he's not in the Pro-Am tomorrow on Wednesday, which I noticed when that came out.
Yes, I did see
Monday
that.
or Sunday night. People are saying it's because of the back. I genuinely don't think that. I think my guess is he probably has some sort of off venue, off course commitment that he has to do. It could be a commercial or something else, but he's not in the Pro-Am, which I found interesting.
In the footsteps of Mr. Flower.
Yeah, I mean, Spieth's got a bunch of sponsors. I mean, he doesn't do the commercials at the rate that Mr. Flower does, but I mean, Spieth's got a lot of sponsors too.
That's correct.
He's got the probable designation as well, so I wouldn't be too concerned about Mr. Spieth skipping the Pro-Am.
Yeah,
but I do. He played 9 today, Tuesday, I believe. Played the back 9, so I guess he won't see the front 9 until Thursday morning, which may not be ideal, but who knows? Sometimes that helps, and it's like, all right, I have to just hit to what I see / remember some stuff, and that can be a little bit less thinking, a little bit more just hitting a good golf shot,
Yeah, I don't hate it. He's playing 8 and 9 weeks. I think, okay, he doesn't see 9 holes in advance of the tournament. The dude's got to rest. Like 8 and 9 weeks is a lot. I mean, we're not just talking the golf shots. I mean, we're talking miles and miles and miles of walking.
Yeah, for sure.
So it is what it is. If you're going to take a week off or not put in the whole preparation, this is the week to do it.
Yeah, it doesn't alarm me by any means. So that's good. I'm trying to think what else. Well, there's some interesting news in the golf world with rolling back the ball. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that. I haven't really been able to form an opinion on it yet, but it's definitely something that's been talked about for years, and everyone was like, well, that's just never going to happen. But now it's kind of like a reality as to something that might happen in the future.
Right. I think I don't quite understand how it would work. Like ball companies just can't use that technology.
Yeah, I don't know.
The pros can't use like certain balls that spin at certain rates, basically.
Okay. So they need to spin more?
No, spin less.
Less, I would think.
But spin so much less that they...
Well, when you're hitting off the tee, top spin is what gets you that extra 25 yards.
The rotations per minute must be, they're capping it at a certain number now. So if your ball rotates more than that number, it cannot be used in play.
Okay. Even on wow. So that changes everything then. Like wedge shots and...
Well, the USGA and the R&A are apparently going to require it in their tournaments. The tour, and this is where it's so stupid and where I'm against it. If the tour doesn't require that, and the USGA and the R&A are going to, you're telling me you're going to have 2 of the biggest 4 events in golf adopt completely different principles than what all the PGA Tour events. So they're going to play 2 out of the 25 events they play all year with a totally different ball in the 2 of the top 4 biggest tournaments. It makes 0 sense to me. I just don't know how you can do that.
I don't know how you could regulate it. Like, what are you going to do? Like, if let's say this creates a norm where the longest players on tour are hitting at 290, right? Like, if Jordan Spieth hits a 310-yard drive, what are you going to do? Like, test him for it after the round? Like it's on roids? Like, you could mask a ball to, like, it's still going to say Titleist on the front. It's still going to be a Pro V1. Like, I don't know how you're going to knock down that. Someone who's T55 but is taking advantage and using a legal ball, like, who's going to look at that and be like, oh yeah, Ludwig someone is using the an illegal ball. Like no one's gonna look for that. Like it's just there's so many loopholes. I don't think I'm not against the concept. I'm against it purely because I just don't understand how it would make sense. It's not something that's really feasible right now. If anything, I think it should be the clubs that are monitored. Like in baseball, how you can't
right.
can't have a bat past a certain length. You can't have whatever it is, the stuff that with your hand at the end of the bat, like whatever that is. I forget what it's called, but
no,
that's how you go about it, in my opinion. I don't think changing the ball. I think changing the ball would cause so many scandals, so many people claiming that it's not, claiming that it is. Oh, what happens if you have balls in your back? Like, what happens if you grab a ball and you didn't know that it was like? It's just, it doesn't make sense. They all look the same. All golf balls, it's not going to say PGA Tour on the ball. It's still going to be a Pro V1.
Yeah.
So I don't understand how it would work.
Right. I think to Jordan's point, it's like, how do you switch between the two events, right? If you have two different golf balls that you play, that doesn't make any sense to me. It's one thing, look, if the Tour adopts it as well, and so does the Masters, and then so does the PGA, then it's like, all right, everybody's just playing with a rolled back golf ball. I personally, my favorite is just like shorten the tee, because to me, like, that's the problem with distance. Isn't, I mean, I don't even know if there really is a problem with distance. I think it's just the way that like some courses set up. I also think golf is just kind of naturally like taking this path, right? Players are getting more fit, more strong, more athletic. Club companies are getting better at making better golf balls and golf clubs that hit the ball farther. And, maybe there's ways to roll it back, but that's kind of the path that golf has taken, right? Like, we started with wooden clubs, and now then we went to metal heads, and now we're at other things. And if the game is just going to change that way, then the game's going to change that way, right? I think there's ways to make it hard that are not necessarily changing the equipment that is being used. But
you say something really interesting about the tee. I feel like that would be a nice universal way, because that would definitely keep people from hitting the 250-yard like long drive shots. Because you look at like, I feel like even changing a club or changing a ball like that takes away the advantage of someone making a really good golf ball, a really good club. Like,
right.
You look at NASCAR, and like, that's like saying someone can't have a certain thing in a car. Like, the whole point of the sport is to have the best car, or not sport. I'm not saying NASCAR is a sport. I'm actually going to say that it's not a sport. But back to my point, it's like saying you can't have a certain thing in a car because that makes your car better than everyone else's. Like, that's the point. You want to have the best clubs. You want to have the best ball.
Right.
That's part of their brand. I feel like a tee would be a really interesting way to do that. Like, say you can't have it over, and it wouldn't do too much, but it would stop the Bryson DeChambeaus of the world trying to hit a 270-yard drive because they can afford to, because there's no trouble.
Right. And the thing about the tee, like, you'd have guys hitting like squeeze cuts out there in theory on every hole, or squeeze draws or whatever, right?
It is very tough to hit a draw on a shorter tee, but
right. So you change that up a little bit, and the ball's just not going to go as far. And if that's what you want, that's what you want. I think the thing about like clubs or changing the ball, right? To me, it just has to be consistent. Whatever you do, it has to be the same rule across golf, because it would be impossible to adjust as a player. So whatever that is, that's what you've got to decide with and stick by. And is it being implemented, or are they voting on it, or that's like what they're going to do?
I mean, they said January 2026, this is going to be put into play, I guess, for at minimum their tournaments.
Wow.
I guess, yeah.
Quite the ways away.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting that they chose the ball as the way to do that.
They did apparently a ton of testing over 2 or 3 years to see what was actually the main contributor.
The best way to
guess they came up with the ball.
I will also say, I like the idea because there are some courses that we can't see professionals play because of how bad they abuse the golf course, because it just wasn't meant for lengths like that. But I'll also say there still should be an advantage to hitting the ball long. I feel like if you're going to do it, it needs to be at a percentage distance. If Bryson DeChambeau hits the ball 320 and Spieth hits the ball 300, Bryson DeChambeau should still have that advantage, whatever percentage that is.
He will. It might even, I mean, Kyle Porter tweeted out, like, it's very basic, but he was saying that reducing the ball would make the longer hitters longer. Like, not actually, but like relative to the shorter hitters, they would, you know, in terms of strokes gained numbers, like they would play longer relative to their peers if the ball was rolled back. Because you're right, like because Bryson, his whole point was, I'm going to get massive and I'm going to crank the golf ball. And that's what he did. And he shouldn't be punished or put back to the level of hitting it like Kiz off the tee just because he got big and they were like, oh, no, you're too good now. So I don't, you know, I think I didn't really watch the interview, but people seem to think that Mike Wan did a good job of explaining it, and it seemed to come from a place of trying to make the game better. And they're not just saying this like out of the blue, like to Jordan's point. They definitely tested this for years to try and figure out what's the best way to do this. We'll see what players' reactions are. I think too, we just don't really know a whole lot yet, so it's hard to truly have an opinion on it.
Very true.
And we are still, 2.5 years until it's in play. So I'm sure more will come out.
Yeah.
It'll be talked about a lot going forward, but it's just another interesting twist in the normal sport that we follow.
Normal sport. Very true. One other thing I want to get to before we get into like the rest of the players and the bets, the match play will be leaving us.
Yes.
We didn't really have a podcast we were able to fit this into, but I did want to bring up that I think it's an atrocity that the match play format will be leaving the sport, as it is how golf was originated as. It was originated as a head-to-head event. I'm fully aware that it's not the best way to determine a winner at this stage in the sport, but I am very disappointed that they're going away from it completely. It is very fun to watch. It is just, I've heard it's the course that wants the tournament out of there, but I don't see how we were just talking about how there's some courses that couldn't be used because players would just abuse them.
Yeah.
There's some really good potential to play some of those courses in a match play variety.
I have two things real quick. So one, just I wanted to go back to kind of what we were saying about I hate to go back here because I know you want to talk about match play and I will. But regarding like the ball, I fully agree. Like there's like a majority of the original Open Championship venues they just don't touch anymore because they're too short. Like how cool would it? I don't know. Do you guys know Prestwick?
Yep.
Yes.
Like how cool would it be to have the Open go back to Prestwick and they just can't do it anymore because of how far they hit it. But yeah, going back to match play, it is sad. I think we should have one match play a year. I wish I'd love to see a reporter actually to do a good job and ask good questions and maybe go interview all the top players and ask.
Keep dreaming, Mr. Carp.
Because they ask a bunch of horrible questions, but
yes.
yeah, I think it also takes, I kind of think, two to tango, kind of what you're getting at. There's a lot of good match play courses, but if it's a private club, they got to agree to want to host it. Because we see, like, if you host an event, like, it kills the grass with all the spectators that walk around.
Yes.
And, so I get it. I think that's what Austin wanted. They just, the members were split on whether they wanted it or not. But it sucks. Yeah, I agree.
Well, it's also, I get this isn't the same because we, my home course, like a few years back, we were the final two in the running for the 2024 Solheim Cup, and eventually just got shot down by the board because they didn't want to give up the course for 2 months. Like you have to give over the course to the tour, and they can do whatever they want with it. And that's also a time where you can't play the course. So I definitely see where they're coming from, but I don't understand why you can't have a match play event at I've always thought that the perfect match play course would be a course like Shadow Creek. And I think they have a women's event there now for match play. But
Yeah,
I think like courses like that with a lot of risk reward situations, it's perfect at Austin Country Club, unfortunately, because like that 13th hole, the drivable par 4, like not many people would go for it in a stroke play event. Like that's just how it is. There's not really much to gain, given that you can easily lay it up with like a pitching wedge and have like 100 yards in. But in a match play, if you need to make eagle down the stretch, because you know that they're probably going to make birdie, it's a really cool hole. It's just really sad that I'm such a huge fan of match play. I love that the U.S. Amateur is still match play. I really wish that there was a big tournament that was match play in the future, and I really hope that they bring it back. I don't know if they will. I don't know if this is like the final goodbye. I don't really know, but like you could do match play on courses that you couldn't play a normal tour event on. Like if they're too short, like I think that would be a really cool way to incorporate some of the courses that they can't really play anymore. Maybe like Firestone or places like that. I know Firestone isn't the biggest risk reward, but
Firestone's a big ballpark. I don't know why they got rid of Firestone.
Oh, is it not due to distance?
No, that was just WGC. I'm pretty sure
Really?
Firestone's out there. They just didn't.
Don't they play the senior event there?
Yeah,
I'll look it up.
So maybe that's why I thought it was short, because they had the seniors playing.
a lot of seniors fully
I
in that course.
I think that's why I thought that, but that's surprising. That's what I've always thought for like 5 years since they got rid of it. But
the senior player. Well, it's sponsored by Bridgestone, so that obviously
that does
helps.
help. Yes. But I'm very disappointed that they got rid of that. I just wanted to put that out there. I know we can get back to Valspar, but
no, I just wanted to.
Yeah,
it's kind of sucks that it's not there. I would be curious to see if the players like match play. I don't know if there's anything out there about that, but
It should be.
like if I mean Scheffler played how many matches last year? 7?
It's a lot of golf.
That's a lot of golf, right? Like that's just a long week. And I think guys, particularly when it's 2 weeks before the Masters, aren't
I think it should be in the fall.
totally interested in playing. Yeah,
I
I think match play for the Tour Championship makes a lot more sense if that's.
I think that would be so sick, because at the end of the day, the FedEx Cup playoffs will never be a way to determine the best player over the season. Like it just never will. Like they're so at that point, make it fun, make it cool, make it like any other sport where it's anyone can win, upsets happen. Like I definitely think you need to have some strokes. Like if Scotty Scheffler was playing the 16 seed, he'd have to get a certain amount of strokes to start, I think, like 1 or 2. But I think that would be fun. I think to see that, it would be like playing a match in your backyard against your buddy who owes you one aside, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it would be fun to see them incorporate that into the Tour Championship, because, listen, I don't care what the Tour wants to promote. A 30-man field at a course like that, that just will never get me going towards the end of the season. Like you're trying to hype up the season. Like having a match play to end the season would be a way to hype it up.
And the
because
playoffs,
I guarantee you nobody looks forward to the Tour Championship as a viewer.
Right.
Well, unless your player is right there.
Yeah. And the playoffs now being shortened, like there's only 70 guys that make it to Southwind this year. Like that's not going to be that interesting either. But if you're playing Southwind and the BMW to try and get like the 4 seed in the tournament and going into Eastlake so that you can have a stroke on Cantlay going into that. Like,
but I think if you gave it made it a thing where like you play the first 2 tournaments and you got to get to top 32. You know, you got to get to top 32. That's the cutoff, you know?
Right.
And then you bracket it from there at Eastlake.
And it's more important. Like it does strokes, but then it puts you in a category of like, because like the whole point of the strokes now, right, for the Tour Championship is just to give whoever finishes number 1 the benefit of you played really well all year, you get this advantage. But now you're giving them the one seed, they get 2 holes or whatever it may be in this match, and then they get to go, right? And that's why the first 2 playoff events will still matter, because you're fighting for
Or
this, and strokes are important to these
Or there's
guys.
another thing you could do. You could make it top 128 make the FedEx Cup playoffs, and you do a bracket over 3 weeks with 36 hole matches.
No, thank you.
I feel
That's a
like
lot.
that would be a more fair way to incorporate the strokes, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think I want match play, but I kind of think and we'll get to this more come
Well, they never will.
August. Fine, but I think what they did this year is a step in the right direction. I think top 125 is way too many.
I'd agree.
Just like, any professional sport making the playoffs should be tough. Okay, top 70 now make it. That's a lot better in my opinion. It's funny too, because like we heard the coach Jonathan Coachman keep mentioning like Spieth entering the players was outside the top 70, and you're like, wow, like obviously he's going to finish inside the top 70 unless something goes drastically wrong. But like you should have to play. Yeah.
Finishing inside the top 70 is much harder than finishing inside the top 20.
It's a lot better.
It's
a lot better.
Right. And the fall is going to be fascinating, because you've got all those guys from 70 to 125, 125 to 150.
And because I still haven't read in much about how that's going to go over, but I think that would be fun.
Yeah, because then the fall events are now like you're competing for a tour card, and to me that makes those events a lot more interesting. And then you start with a clean kind of FedEx slate at the I Made the Tour Championship event in Hawaii. So progress is being made. But that's all of that's kind of a long ways away. We will have a match play preview next week, obviously, and we can probably talk about that more. But
very excited. Spoiler alert. A heavy amount of go get that points will be on Kevin Kisner to make it out of his group.
Nice.
That's fine.
I almost bet him to miss cut this week.
Yeah, Mr. Kisner has not played good golf in a long time.
No, but match play killer. So
lead us off, odds leader or points leader. Lead us off with your picks.
Yes, I would love to lead us off. I only have 3 plays this week.
Same.
I honestly didn't like this week. I was honestly thinking about being like scum and doing 1 point on a placement, 1 point on outright, and 98 points on just like the biggest lock just to break even. Like a minus 10,000 bet just to break even. But because there really just isn't much this week that has me confident that I'm going to break even. But I decided to go with 3 plays. And my winner this week is Mr. Spieth. So you can cash out all your tickets now that Bob and Mr. Sobel are both on Spieth. But I do have 20 on him, 14 to 1. I think he's the best player in the field this week. I'll say that. That's the easiest for me. He's not even the favorite. I think he is on some sites, but I think it was a very easy pick for me. There's no one else I'm sitting here thinking, oh, yeah, you guys should put real American currency on anyone else. Like, I really don't think that. I think Spieth is the easy play. I've seen a lot of golf bettors doing single bullets on Spieth this week, so I'm going to join them on that trend.
Congrats to the Spieth cap. You want to just roll around?
Well, not congrats, because now he won't.
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. Jordan Spieth to win 14 to 1.
Nice, Dan.
I don't know how many points I'm putting on it. I know this sounds dumb because this is, 3 Spieth fans, and we talk about Spieth all the time, but this feels like a Valero week to me. Like it feels like
thanks to battling Charlie Hoffman down the stretch.
Well, he is.
Hoffman
Charlie
is in the
Hoffman
field
is in the
this week.
field.
Yeah.
What?
He is in the field this week.
Wow.
It just seems like such an obvious
didn't even know he sold a card.
Spieth week, and at 14 to 1, like that. Considering that, like I thought Scheffler was a really good number at 11 to 1 last week. Like I will take Spieth in this field at 14 to 1 all day. So I think I've only got like 13 on that to win like 190 or something. But it just feels like that week. I don't have any long shots for the people that might be interested in long shots. Gary Woodland, I think, might have opened at like 100, and then he quickly dropped to 40 Akshay Bhatia was at 110 at one point. He's down to like 70 now. So those would have been a couple guys I would have looked at, but it's tough. I mean, it's tough to know. There's just not a lot of win equity outside of JT, Spieth, Sam Burns.
There really isn't. No, this is a week where if you don't like Spieth this week, I highly suggest you pick like a Burns. Actually, I don't like Burns this week, but like someone top heavy. I mean, there are a few players in this field that are just so much better than the rest of the field. It's like that's just how it is. So if someone else besides those top heavy players win, it's going to be fluke, probably not predictable. So, and I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying it's impossible to think about who that would be. You know, like
it's very difficult.
Like it's impossible to say, oh yeah, actually Batia is winning this week. Like, come on. But at least Mr. Two Gloves withdrew, right?
He did withdraw.
Yes, good to hear because I was going to bet on the miscut. So,
lucky us.
At least I won't have to care about him for a week.
Yeah, so I'm last with my outright. I kind of mentioned it in our players recap. I feel this could, if he wins, Jordan Spieth be the beginning of a run.
I do agree.
He's starting to peak. With that said, I am not betting him outright this week. It's kind of weird. Like, this number shocks me, and like Bob loves the eye test. He still, according to Data Golf, has not been very good over 200 yards, which kind of surprises me. I'm kind of shocked his number hasn't been better. Still losing strokes gained the field with that shot, and there's a lot of 200+ yard shots that I found this week. So I'm not on him. I am going, again, I'm kind of going to follow what you said, Bob, towards the top of the board. I'm going to go Tommy Fleetwood.
I like that.
He doesn't win, yes, but I feel like if he does win, why not the freaking Valspar? I mean, Paul Casey, the Englishman, won here twice. Tommy's iron play has been great. I played here last year. He T16'd. He's got some good form coming in. I was between him and a couple other guys towards the top of the board, but why not go with the guy that has very, 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 very overdue for a win?
Yeah, he is. And to your point, he played well last week too. Like, he got himself in the mix after a really good Saturday, had a tough go with the wind on Sunday. Obviously, he doesn't have the greatest win equity, at least over here, but like he is kind of due. He's played too well over here to not have a PGA Tour win. So why not Tommy Fleetwood?
Yeah,
what's the number on him?
I just forgot I didn't have a placement, so I gotta go fix that. But he's 24-1. I got 15 on him.
Not bad.
I gotta go throw in a placement.
I'll get into my other two bets. Number one, my placement. I'm going back to the wagon. Griffin to top 30 at plus 150, I believe. He was minus money to top 40, so I didn't want to take that. So I'm taking him top 30. I basically just have two break-even plays. I have him top 30 to break even exactly. And then I have this one's a weird one. This one is Ludwig Aberg I think he's a professional now, right? Didn't he not turn professional last week?
I think he's the best AM in the world.
Yeah.
Still an amateur? Well, he's gonna miss the cut. So I just wanted to put that out there. He's an amateur. He's made one tour cut in his life. The last time he played in the tour event besides the Arnold Palmer, which is a cool story, he shot like plus 10. I understand he's playing really well this week, but this is the big boys. I guess maybe not the big boys. It's the Valspar, but it's the PGA Tour, and he's plus money to miss cut as an amateur.
Did he play last week?
No, he didn't.
Okay.
So this is a sponsored exemption, but it's like Eric Cole. Like, if he makes the cut, congrats. That's really cool to him. But like, how are you supposed to see plus money on someone like this and not take it? It's just like, it doesn't make sense. This guy could easily, even just mentally, crap all over himself and shoot like 8 over. Like, he's an amateur. Yeah, it's that simple. If he makes the cut, congrats to him. But I'm putting it on him plus 125 to win, to pay out 90. So that would almost get me back to even. I will happily take the 10-point loss this week. Again, it's just not really that good. I was really considering that.
Mr. Aberg has a T25 or top 25 at the API 2 weeks ago. And I will say a lot of people are liking the way he did that. So I actually don't mind that miscut play because it's probably some leverage there. Like that, you're right. He's still an amateur. He's probably still very capable of a Thursday or Friday 77. So
absolutely.
Tron loves Ludwig.
Yeah.
Well, Mr.
like,
Tron can go back to his minus 529 on the year.
Oh, is he really?
He's they're all down. They're all down.
Oh, okay.
If you want winners, listen to this podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, why not?
I was gonna say I wouldn't be shocked if Aberg. Either way, like
I wouldn't be shocked, but it's just a principle thing. Like he's plus money when he shouldn't be plus money. It's that simple.
Yeah,
there wasn't a better play out there that I was gonna take, so I might as well go with it. I don't hate it. I think that if you take plays like that throughout the year, it's just it's people. The reason why he's plus 25 is because people bet him to make the cut and they're trying to be too cute. It's that simple. I like the play. I actually am very confident Ben Griffin top 30s with the way he's been playing. But Dan can shake the hand to you for that play last week.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was a good one. Yeah.
I didn't realize he tripled the last though.
He did. It was very close. We were
very close to get inside it by a shot. But
Jordan was
I've been trying to figure out a way to fade Ben Griffin for a while now, and I just can't seem to do it because he just keeps like top 40ing. Yeah. And in this field, it makes a lot of sense to play him. I wanted to play a matchup, and I looked at the 3-ball, and I really liked Denny McCarthy this week.
I do too.
But he was against McNeely and Ben Griffin, and McNeely I can fade. McNeely gained like 8 strokes putting last week, and he finished like T55 or something like that.
Stinks.
But I couldn't choose between Griffin or Denny. So I pivoted and I went back to Jordan Spieth. Plus 114 to beat Justin Thomas. That seems like a bit of a missed number to me. Thomas is like minus 146 or something. Thomas is not what concerns me is that it's JT and he plays well here. 2, he's like kind of close. But I think he's got a lot going on with the putter right now, does Mr. Thomas. And it's weird, as crazy it is to say, I think Spieth is like about as stable as this is about as stable and trending upward as Spieth's game is typically. And Thomas seems to be floating around a little bit. Thomas is hitting the ball well, but plus money on Spieth to beat him like that. To me, it seems like they both could play well and Spieth could still edge him. Or Thomas could miss the cut, right? And Spieth hopefully makes the cut and goes on to do well. So that one just seemed like a misprice, and I'll take my chances on Thomas not having one more bad week. And then I'm going to top 40 for Dylan Wu. He's played pretty well. I think he's top 40 at his last 3 of his last 4. The only one that was in Puerto Rico.
That's weird.
And which is odd. I know Puerto Rico, the wind was blowing quite a bit, but I saw him at plus 170. I'm going to check and see if I can get anything better than that. But he was going down. Like he started at plus 200 to 1 to win, and he quickly went to like plus 120 or plus 125. So I think he's better than the books originally gave him credit for. He's accurate off the tee, which is important. You don't have to be super long here, right? Because you're just going to have a lot of 200-yard iron shots anyway. He's above average putter, above average around the greens. So I think he could play well here. And, if I had to pick a super long shot to win, I'd probably pick him. So why not? Dylan Wu, top 40.
I like it. I have 5 plays this week because I totally forgot about my placement. I have 1 point on my placement because I really don't want to. It's Russell Knox to top 10, just $1 on it. Don't play that. I forgot about it, so I had to throw it in there. And then my other 3, I have 2 FRLs and 1 matchup. Dan wanted to find a way to fade Ben Griffin. I am fading Ben Griffin. Wow. I don't get this guy. I think, and props to Mr. Griffin, he's just not really bad in any phase of the game. Like he's not really great at anything, But if one thing lets him down, he can count on something to pick him up. I'm betting another Wu. I'm betting Brandon Wu to defeat Ben Griffin this week. I looked at how Sawgrass played last week, and it kind of played right into Mr. Griffin's hands. I mean, he's lights out from 100 to 150 yards. He has lost strokes to the field from 150 to 200 and over 200. Mr. Wu has not done that. Mr. Wu is gaining in literally every facet with approach. So go ahead.
Did you really just fade Ben Griffin?
I don't know how he's. Yes, I am. I don't think he's going to hold up.
Oh, you're going down.
We'll see.
This week. You're going down.
Well, we'll see about that. But I don't really care. You can top 30.
What are the odds? What are the odds on that?
Well, he's minus money. He's favored to beat Ben Griffin, Brandon Will.
What's the odds on that?
Mr. Wu is minus 116. They're both minus money, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean I like Ben Griffin, but there seems to be something somewhat unsustainable about what he's doing. But he doesn't not sustain it somehow.
Yeah, I talked to Elise. I have another Elise, well, not Elise play because I like it too, but I have another Elise verified play coming up after. And the thing with Griffin that worries me, and then the other thing that I think that I like also, thing that worries me, he's a good putter and he's good around the greens. I think you're going to need both of them this week, but at the same time, you're going to need to be accurate off the tee, and this guy just sprays it all over the place.
Yeah.
So I'm praying maybe just for once he'll find some water or something and make a big number like he did on 18 at Sawgrass, before Sunday, to make this really not a sweat. But we'll see. And then Brandon Wu he's accurate off the tee. Iron's been great.
Right.
I kind of like what he's been doing, and he's been playing well. He's coming off the T19 at Sawgrass, T14 at the Honda. So he's bringing in some form.
Yeah. And before you hit your last play real quick, that's kind of why I was interested in Denny. Because Denny, I mean, we saw him on Sunday with Spieth. That dude hit like 11 or 12 fairways the first 3 days. I think he only hit 7 or 8 maybe on Sunday. But like accuracy off the tee, especially here with the rough up, really matters. And I think Ben Griffin, he's more of a guy who hits it above average in distance and less accuracy. So, I mean, if Brandon, hopefully the Woos have a good week and it'd be nice. We can make up some ground here.
Yeah, I mean, so I was looking at Griffin right here. He lost strokes off the tee at Sawgrass. He was second in the field around the green.
Yeah.
So I doubt he's going to do that again, but we'll see. And then, so my last two plays are both first round leaders. One is Elise also has that I liked, and then I picked another one myself. So the first one's Will Gordon to be the first round leader. Another guy that's been ironing it really well. He is on tour. He is 5th in first round scoring average. He's off in the morning. Kind of everything you really look for in the first round leader. The guy plays great in the morning. Irons have been good. He didn't play, T54 at Sawgrass. The short game's kind of been letting him down, but like, if you want an FRL, the short game's kind of not a thing I'm looking for in FRL plays really. Yeah. I guess maybe get ups and down on par 5s, but he's been ironing it great.
You just need it to pop one day.
Yeah, Thursday. Exactly. And then he hits fairways at a decent clip. And what are the odds I got him? I got him at 60 to 1 to first round lead. And then the other one that wasn't Elise approved is he's a guy that a friend of the podcast.
Well, I guarantee you Wu over Griffin is not Elise approved either.
She likes Wu this week. I'll tell you that.
She will, but I definitely do not think she will like.
That's fine,
Mr. Griffin.
That's fine. She's not fading both though at the same time, so it's fine. Oh. But so my second first round leader is Mr. Max loves this guy, Mr. Yeager. Mr. Yeager at 50 to 1. Another guy that plays well in the first round. He's 20. Where is he here?
He's a. He already screwed me once this year, so no thanks.
He's 21st in first round scoring average. Another guy that's been ironing it great. It's funny too. He from the Rocket Mortgage to Houston last year went like 7 events in a row gaining strokes putting. He's now lost 7 strokes in a row putting. It's very weird. He's been ironing it great off the tee. He's gained in 6 of his last 8 events. I think I might even like Yeager more than Gordon if he could just get hot with the putter for one round, like he did from freaking Rocket Mortgage to Houston. I like it. He has better odds than Gordon too at 50 to 1. So I'm just hoping maybe a sweat, Thursday morning would be nice. I got 10 on each of those. And then I put 64 on Mr. Wu, 15 on Tommy, and then 1 on Mr. Knox to top 10 for the $10 winnings there.
Watch Knox top 10. That'd be fantastic.
Hey, I'll take it. I mean, it could help. I'll take any dollar I can get. But
The 10 points. Yeah. Man, I like all of those. Griffin will be interesting because to your point, like I've been trying to find ways to fade him.
he's
But I
gonna
just
end
can't.
up missing a cut at some point. I mean,
Well,
everyone.
he MC'd at Pebble.
All right.
And that's his only MC. And besides that, he just like plays good enough to,
He's annoying.
well, he's annoying unless you're
Betting-
trusting him to somehow get top 40.
Yeah, that's accurate.
It's weird because it's not like he's flushing the golf ball from tee to green and getting top 40. He just chips it well, putts it well, hits it decent enough, and that adds up to a couple
Score.
under every day. Right. And it's like, So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm just thinking the long iron play has not been very good, and maybe that'll let him down this week. I looked at a lot of matchups. I really wanted to go with the matchup this week. I feel this course is good for matchups, kind of like Honda was when my Chris Kirk matchup won. I think that's the only matchup I've played. I'm down like 300 points, and I'm 1 for 1 in matchup. So why not go back to the well this week and see how it works out?
I think too, like in fields where you don't know a ton about some of the guys at the bottom, like a matchup's a good way to do it. And especially on DraftKings, you can find like 3 balls, not just for the first round, but for the tournament. And if you don't like a player that week and you find them in the 3 ball, that's basically a one-on-one matchup, at least in your head. So then you get better odds and things like that. So I like looking at those just to see if there's somebody that I'm fading, like I did Morikawa at API. Then it was just a pick 'em between Hatton and Day. Obviously, Day didn't come through, but it's a good way to just tack on some extra odds there for you.
I'd say so.
Yeah. Good picks. Do we want to any other Valspar thoughts? I think this has been a pretty good preview.
Happy to be back. I wouldn't be shocked at all if this maybe becomes a somewhat regular stop for Jordan. I mean, the dude's won here. I think with kind of how the rough around the greens has been grown up. He played great at API, decent last week of players. Like maybe the dude's a Florida merchant now with like some good finishes. Who knows? I like new courses. First time, I think Bob and I will both be able to track it, get to learn a little bit more, and hopefully be in contention on Sunday.
Well said. Well said.
Agree.
Final 4 picks. Do we have those?
I do not.
I'm ready to go.
You guys can go.
I have Houston winning my national championship. I've not watched much college basketball outside of Michigan, but just based on like game theory, Houston should win the national championship. So I'll stick with that. I just watched the Rick Gaiman YouTube video about how to optimize your bracket. So Houston, Gonzaga, and then I kind of strayed a little bit. I think I have Alabama and Purdue as the other 2 teams in my final 4. Purdue is interesting because the Big Ten usually sucks, but Purdue just feels a little bit different this year. Like they they won the Big Ten title. Zach Edey's obviously playing well, but I think they've got some guards that can make some shots and make some plays for themselves. And to be honest, like their path isn't all that difficult. Tennessee's a great defensive team, but they've struggled recently with some injuries and just kind of down the stretch. So I think Houston over Purdue is my national championship at the moment.
You're up,
Mr.
Bob.
Bob.
I don't have my plays yet.
I will give mine. My final 4 is kind of top heavy, I'd say. I have no 1 seeds, but I am going to go with a bunch of 2 seeds. I have I'm doing this off the top of my head because I don't have my bracket in front of me, but I have Arizona coming out of the top left. I have Duke 5 seed coming out of the bottom left. Which is by far my dark horse, but I just think Duke are winners, and that bottom left is very bad. Very, very bad. Out of the bottom right, I have UCLA. They're my pick to win the tournament. And then top right, I have Texas, who are my second favorite pick to win the tournament.
Nice.
I think the Big 12 is like maybe the best conference in college basketball. So I am very heavy on those teams. I also think that the Pac-12 is very, very underrated. So we will see what teams come out from there. But my pick to win the tournament is UCLA or Texas. Those are my I can't. They're both basically in the same boat. I think whoever wins that game in the Final Four matchup will be who wins the championship. So I'll leave it there.
Fair.
That's fair.
I like Texas too. UCLA is very talented. I don't know why, I give the edge to Gonzaga, but we'll see. It should be a fun tournament. Starts Thursday, but so does Spieth's Valspar Triumph. So
if you guys hit the outrights, I will not be upset at all.
Yeah. When is he's off at
8:18
Thursday?
And then
I think it's 108.
Yeah, a lot of eights.
On Friday.
Featured both days. I don't have my bracket ready yet, but I like Houston a lot. I've seen them play a few games. They're going to be really tough to beat.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. I over the years, I don't have my bracket ready yet. I've been very good for like the last 4 to 5 years, besides 1 year. My bracket was really bad. So yeah, I like Houston. Alabama, I don't think I know you said Alabama. They're the weirdest program with like the whole shooting investigation stuff, which is just awful. But, like, they're really good too.
Yeah. I think I had them in my Final Four.
Yeah. Duke is interesting, Bob. I that'd be interesting. I know everyone in the USA outside of North Carolina and all the Duke bandwagon fans will be rooting for them to lose. That is interesting. I kind of like that pick. I don't like Duke at all, but like this is like a Duke under the radar year, and they're never under the radar. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah. I think Duke's a good they're good. I mean, I really don't know how the ACC is going to come out. They don't play much competition outside the ACC, so I'm interested to see how that works. But yeah.
Winning recap Sunday night, guys?
Yes. Sounds like a plan.
What's the Sunday night March? Well, I guess we don't know yet, but unless there's like a really big game, then yeah.
You would take that over a Spieth Triumph victory podcast.
Oh, if he won?
Yeah.
Any basketball game can take the back seat.
Thank you.
Chills. But yeah, so hopefully we'll see you guys live on Sunday night on YouTube.
Nice.
If not, we will probably see you Monday or Tuesday morning. Until then,
Take care.
Yeah.
Peace.
Peace.